Hey you guys, it's MJ from Alta Love, and I'm here with, actually, Katie now works with me in Alta Love, but we met in Morocco in February on a yoga retreat that I was hosting, and now we are on a working holiday in Gili Air. We've been traveling around Bali as I'm writing my second book. We've been having some business meetings, and the reason I asked Katie to go live with me today is that Katie has experience that I actually don't have. I don't really have direct experience with what people call anxiety. And Katie's been very vocal about how she's facing and dealing and basically healing her anxiety patterns. So I just asked Katie, we're here like having breakfast, and I was like, hey girl, do you want to go live? Because I haven't gone live in a few days for you guys. So I thought what would be really useful is asking Katie about her experience of, so you've read the book, The Fearless Life Guide,
Yep.
You've joined the tribe, you're obviously part of Team Love now.
Yep.
Doing your mad spreadsheet skills. But something, again, that's been really cool about traveling with her is like how you're just dealing with anxiety. Like, certainly on days when we travel,
Yep.
the day we met at the airport,
Yeah.
you're like,
Yep.
so I guess just tell our YouTube audience, like, a little bit about your past and how the anxiety bubbled up to the point that you literally couldn't deal with life anymore.
Yeah. Well, when I was younger, I didn't realise that I actually had anxiety. I thought I had loads of stomach problems. So when I went off to university, obviously like a big change in my life, I found myself really sick all the time, and I was backwards and forwards to hospital, in and out the doctors, and kept getting told I had IBS, so like stomach problems,
No
things
way.
like that. Yeah. And so, you know, various medications, various kind of, what I can look back now and realise is an extension of the anxiety, where I couldn't go anywhere, or I didn't know where the toilet was, or I didn't know where the exit was. I stopped drinking and started driving everywhere, so I borrowed my mum's car. But it only really kind of bubbled up to the surface about sort of 3 years ago, when I broke up from my ex-boyfriend, found myself living alone, and it all just bubbled up and finally spilled out. And where the anxiety had got so intense, I ended up with depression. I didn't know it was depression until I did actually go to the doctor, and they said, oh yeah, you've just got so much anxiety, you've crashed and you're suffering from depression now, you need to be signed off, just take some time out. And then it was through kind of recognising it was anxiety, if you want to call it that, that I could look back and be like, oh wow, I don't remember when I didn't have this.
Right.
So I pretty much have had it most of my life. I don't remember
So
a
since
time.
childhood even?
Definitely. I can't remember a time
Like
when I didn't have it.
underlying just like tummy problems, and like
Yeah.
now in your conscious awareness you can look back at yourself as a child and be like, you were anxious all the time.
Yeah, always.
Maybe because of your environment, or maybe because adults around you were anxious,
Yeah.
and they weren't even conscious of it.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, like a lot of the mainstream reality that we live in, like people are just stressed out all the time.
Yeah.
And more of us, I do feel like more and more humans are becoming, or simply are, empathic. And so a lot of us are like sponges, where we just absorb these depressions or these anxieties because the adults in our environment, the teachers, the environments we're in are anxious. They're highly strung, and our bodies don't function very well. Like, we know this with research, that our bodies just do not function well when we're stressed, when we're anxious, and when we're tense. It blocks the flow. We know. So now I'm heading into, you know, anxiety, stress, tension. It basically blocks the prana flow. We learn about this kind of stuff in yoga.
Yeah.
So I met you as a yoga teacher. When you
Yeah.
came to Morocco, you'd already done your training. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about how, I'll just say it, like how your intuition guided you to yoga.
Yeah.
And yoga's basically healing you.
Yeah, so I'd done yoga, I think as most people, I'd done yoga because I was like, oh, I want to get skinny and
I
all
wanna have the
stretchy
yoga
and, like,
body.
Yeah, and look how flexible I could be, because
Yeah.
I was proper into the gym, and I started doing it, I don't know, I must have been sort of 19, 20, so 10 years ago. And I'd done it, I dipped in and out of it, and it was when I'd been signed off work with the depression. What kept happening to me is I used to call them my like crisis nights. So I would find myself completely overwhelmed with emotion, crying, and like getting to the point of panic, like not being able to breathe. But I was on my own, and so my parents lived about 40 minutes away. I'd call my parents because I didn't know what to do, And my mum used to send my dad on what I called rescue missions. So
and
my
you're
dad
like
would
late 20s?
Yeah, so I was 27, I think, at the time. So my dad would drive down to Brighton, where I was living at the time, pick me up and bring me home for a few days to just kind of regroup and go back. And there was one night where the same thing happened.
This is repetitive because you
happening.
called it. It was a crisis night,
Yeah,
and then the rescue
and then it was a
mission.
rescue
So this was a
mission.
regular thing, a
Yeah,
pattern.
it happened. It was a pattern. It kept happening. And there was one night I called my mum in that state again, like I couldn't stop crying. I was getting to the point where real panic. You know, where you're sobbing, crying, and you can't catch your
Like
breath.
seriously think you're gonna die, or
Yeah, like-
just in a state of complete fear.
Yeah, complete panic, complete
Terror.
fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I called my mum, and she was like, "Look, we're out. We've both been drinking. We can't come and get you." And I was like, so I got off the phone, and I was like, "Okay, right. I have a few choices here. I can call a friend. You know, I had a friend living opposite me. I know I could call her, but there was a weird thing about not wanting to burden her. And I know she wouldn't have minded, but I thought, okay, right." As I had done a few times, I Googled what to do for depression, what to do for anxiety, just the standard panic Google.
Yeah.
And once
Google
again,
it.
just Google it. If in doubt, Google it. And I Googled it, and I saw yoga, and I was like, oh yeah, yoga. I know this. Because when I get really anxious, and I notice it even now, I lose the ability to remember anything. I can't remember anything other than where I am. And so I was like, oh God, yeah, yoga works. Fine, let's try it. So I just found this just free yoga video, and it was called Yoga for Depression. And I thought, well, I'll just try it. So I just rolled my mat out next to my bed, because I know that if I can get past the real stress and fall asleep, the next morning it's like a reboot.
Yep.
I'd be a little bit better.
Yep.
So I did this yoga, bawled my eyes out on the mat, but it felt less panicked crying and more like a release, because everything was, I wasn't like crying, I was like moving and crying, and it was just kind of coming out.
Yay.
And then I got into bed straight from the mat, went to sleep, woke up the next morning, and I was like, right, okay, I think I'm onto something here. And then what I did was because I was still working full-time in an office, a very stressful environment at the time.
Corporate lifestyle, 9 to 5, right? High stress.
Sales environment, so like the most stressful you can do.
Yeah.
And so I was like, right, I'm going to get up 20 minutes earlier every morning, even though I love my sleep, but we know, I really don't like getting up in
I'm
the
a
morning.
morning person. She's like, Shh, leave me alone.
Yeah, yeah.
But you committed. You were like,
committed.
I need
knew
to
I had
sort
to.
this. Yeah.
I knew I had to. And every morning I would do a little bit of meditation, a little bit of yoga. It started for me, it had to be really rigid, yep. So I knew what I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually now it's quite intuitive. Sometimes I get up, I'll always sit for a little bit in meditation. Some kind of quietness. Sometimes I move, sometimes I don't. But I had to create, because I'm quite a controlling person. Certainly was with the anxiety.
Sure.
20 minutes every morning, I had to do it. And through that, I started to, obviously then read the book and started to realise the kind of self-discovery I'd naturally been going on.
Yeah.
To try and understand what was actually going on, rather than just, it's a problem and I'm trying to fix it, just deal with the symptoms, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, I've been going a little bit deeper and understanding it on a deeper level.
So you did your training.
Yeah.
You're now teaching yoga.
Yeah.
When Katie and I met, she did end up leaving the corporate life, and she's joined Alta Love, but you're also like pioneering your own yoga career, yoga teaching career. And I think the anxiety piece is really important, because so many people deal with anxiety, and the interesting thing is that they don't even realize it. People don't even realize how stressed out they are. I was practicing yoga for like probably solid 8 years before I realized I was still hardcore stressed. I needed to relax more. There's Adrian. And Metaphysical Mike, I think I saw. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And now, so you're totally on a healing journey. Yeah. You're feeling way better. And this is the thing about not pretending. Let's keep it really real. You're doing your work, you're doing your practice, and yet still you have anxiety.
Well,
so tell me, so I could share with you, but just from your, I get the first hand of the anxiety. The anxiety is coming. But tell me about, what's it like? How liberating is it when you can finally just say, this is how I feel?
Yeah, it's amazing, because before, where I'd be in, particularly my old job, I was managing a department. it was for me.
Man up.
Man up. But also, what was fascinating was as a woman in that situation, I had been praised for how I was non-emotional. And so actually some of the male managers were a little bit more emotional, you know, anger generally about things. Well, I was just steady, always steady, consistent. But with that, I was repressing my emotion in every area. And so I was stressed some days, I was anxious. I used to go and hide in the toilet because it was the only time I would get some time on my own just to do some deep breathing.
No one in your environment would have known that you were doing this.
One.
And then you got to wonder how many other people are also hiding their body hatred or hiding their anxiety or hiding the fact that they're fucking depressed. And like, I know I've met up with people who are in those kind of professional environments, and they come to me, they talk to me about their shit, but then if they only want to go so far, they just go back. They go back into hiding. They go back because you have to transform every area of your life, don't you?
And it's really hard as well, because it was funny because I started because I kind of joined the Fearless Life tribe around the time I was leaving my job.
Yes.
I had been kind of hiding everything, and then gradually I was like, no, actually I shouldn't be ashamed of the fact that I'm anxious. It doesn't make me weak, it doesn't make me shit at my job. And so I started to talk about it a little bit more at work, not so much. But once I left the job, I've written a couple of blogs about depression and anxiety.
You guys can check it out on All to Love.
Yeah, they're on All to Love, have a look. But I shared it on my Facebook page, obviously, and all the people I knew from before contacted me and were like, we had no idea. And so many people were like, I'm so sorry, we wish we could have supported you, like, and it was just amazing because I think you think when you're anxious or depressed or whatever it is that people are going to be like, oh right, well you can't do this job then, you need to do something different. It's a weakness.
Our emotions are a weakness, right? That's the kind of paradigm shift.
And that people would judge you or think bad of you or not want to be around you. But the more I shared, it's quite healing, this sharing, the more I shared, the more people were like, oh wow, support. Not one person criticised me for how I've shared, what I've said, or how I felt or how I did my job, anything like that. And it's just.
And you know what I'm realizing? It's because you're not criticizing yourself anymore.
No.
She'll say, "Oh, I'm having the anxiety," and then power through, and then I'll shift into like having some wobble or just being like, "Hey," and then she'll like step up, you know. So when we start to share, we become a lot more able to support ourselves, and of course, if we're able to support ourselves, we can support one another. Thank you so much, Katie.
You're welcome.
Now, Katie's based down in the southeast of England. She kind of tours that area. She talks about this stuff, meditation, mindfulness, yoga, also overcoming anxiety. She runs yoga workshops. She runs yoga classes, and she's available if you're in the area and want to get in touch with her. So how can people get in touch with you?
So you can find me on Facebook. I'm Kit Kat Yoga.
Kit Kat Yoga. I'll put her links below. All right.
So Facebook, Instagram, All to Love. Obviously, you can contact me through there as well.
Ave. Also, just so you guys know, it's us too. So we're going to be hosting a women's only Divine Sexy Goddess Retreat in Ibiza next year, and this is really drawing on a lot of your skills. Katie does burlesque and pole dancing, and it's been part of that healing process. Getting to know Katie has also helped to unlock my own kind of sexual trauma, but also sexual empowerment. So this is a women's only retreat. We're going to be there. That's a bug, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's quite a big bug as well. Totally styled that out. Thank you.
Is that I could see your face in the screen. We're gonna be in Ibiza. There's a potent kind of sexual energy on that island. So it's going to be probably fairly transformative. There's maximum 10 spaces, lots of interest already. So if you're interested in booking and meeting up with us in Ibiza, basically just to do yoga, to do some burlesque, if people are up for it, I'm going to end up filming the final burlesque dance so that everyone has something to take away with them. And then just this kind of chat really, sharing our experience. I know that some of the ladies who are booking on, they are in the corporate world. And yet they're wanting to develop and really go a lot deeper into their yoga and their own sexuality as well. So this is going to be a pretty impressive. I think this is one that is going to kind of have a life of its own for us as well. So thanks, Katie.
Welcome.
And have an awesome day, you guys. Thanks, Dan, Metaphysical Mike, everyone who joined us. And I look forward to speaking to you guys real soon. Peace out.